I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Circuit of the America in Austin, Texas. Kevin Bruner and Derek Schilling on the front row. Richie Joplin, Robert Eggert on the second row. Rod Potgieter, Steve Lindner on the third row. Tim St. Jean, Darrell Whitford on the fourth. Ryan Warp and Stephen Parks round out the top 10. Mike Burgess starting in 11th next to Gerald Thanos Poole in 12th. And Gil Guac rounding out the 13-car field here tonight. Kevin Bruner, Derek Schilling on that front row. Sounds like Bruner might still have a few tricks up his sleeve. But again, with the very hot track out here tonight, still holding at 113 degrees, the drivers do not have a lot of rear grip, and as we heard them talking about, they have a hard time getting the power down. Interesting note, the 30 laps here tonight, the drivers said between 13 and 15 laps on the tank of fuel. So we could see one full pit stop and a late splash and go. Porsche pace car dives it to pit road. Out of the final turn. Kevin Bruner in control. Here they come. Green flag is in the air. They are down and away at Circuit of the Americas. Richie Joplin already looks to the inside on Schilling. And Richie may take second by the time they hit the S's. Looking back through the field, some drivers already making up some big spots early on. Mike Burgess already picks up 2 spots into 9th. Tim St. Jean up to 6th place. Coming through the chicane, like I said, things are going to get a little bit dicey in there. Everybody makes it through, but with the differences in braking points, man, that part of the track was seeing a lot of action in practice. Bruner still in the lead, but Richie might have a run. Richie right on his bumper, but just cannot get the position to attack yet. Schilling still right there with him in 3rd, Eggert in 4th, Potgieter in 5th. Gerald Poole starting to move forward himself. He is up to 11th. Steve Parks in 12th. Gil Guac ended up not taking the grid. Back across the start-finish line, Kevin Bruner will lead lap 1. And he has got that half second of breathing room he was looking for. But Richie goes deep into the hairpin. Schilling followed him through. And still a battle back behind between Gerald Poole and Darrell Whitford. Interesting to note, Stephen Parks is actually racing real-world driver Steve Parks' old paint scheme when he was with DEI. I find that kind of funny. I'm sure he does too. Richie's not laughing. He's trying to take the lead. Oh, Bruner goes loose. Lost some grip on the power. Richie may have it. Bruner fights back on the inside. Richie pinches him down at the apex. Schilling on the attack. Schilling takes advantage, shoots to the inside, and takes second. Bruner already looking back for the attack on second. Schilling holds him off for the moment, but man, I think these three are in for a fight, and while they're up here battling, Eggert and Potgieter are getting closer. Richie Joplin in the lead has the fastest lap of the night so far. But with tire wear being what it is, that may be the fastest lap we see all night. That's going to come down to how many drivers change tires when they come in for their fuel stop. Tim St. Jean back in 6, lost a little bit of ground on the top 5. Don't count him out yet. This has been one of the best starts to a season he has ever had. Stephen Lindner now has Ryan Warp on the bumper. Oh, Ryan goes a little too wide, slides the back end, and lost a little bit of ground. That brought Mike Burgess a lot closer. Richie Joplin, Derek Schilling still out front. Derek looks inside. Derek's going to use every bit of the track to get a run on Richie here. Bruner right behind, just waiting for a mistake out of the top 2. Eggert back in third, about 2 1/4 seconds back. He was gaining ground on the top 3, but has lost a little of it again. And a couple of guys have had problems going off track. Let's take a quick look. Coming out of the S's for Eggert into that short shoot over to the chicane. Oh, he cuts the chicane, likely got a massive slowdown. Stephen Parks back behind. Into the hairpin, just on the power, a hair too soon. Goes wide, does recover. So far, at the moment, everybody's still pointed the right way. Derek Schilling, Kevin Bruner still haunting Richie's back bumper. Some of these slower corners really starting to see a lot of the drivers having problems putting the power down already with the hot track temperature. That's going to wear those rear tires awfully quick. Eggert back in 4th. Potgieter back in 5th. Has lost some ground. Tim St. Jean is closing on Potgieter, and he is bringing Lindner and Warp with him. Mike Burgess continues to close in on the 3 cars just ahead. A good battle shaping up front. Another battle shaping up mid-pack. Back down through the cutover into the chicane, you see the drivers making every effort to not put their tires into that orange section. Especially these top three, they cannot afford to catch a slowdown. Eggert in fourth has pulled a gap on Poggeter. Tim St. Jean just over 3 seconds behind Rod in the top five. Rod currently in fifth. Tim in sixth. Lindner, Warp, and Burgess right behind. Gerald Poole a ways back is starting to gain some ground. Oh, a little slide coming out of that final turn for Bruner. Last year when we were here with this group, there was one driver in the field talking about the slides. He drifted like 50% of the corners here and ended up with a huge win. Too bad he's not here tonight. I'd love to see that again. Oh, Derek may have lost some time there. He had a problem coming through the chicane. Mike Burgess has now moved into eighth, just past Warp. That did allow Tim St. Jean and Steve Lindner to pull away while they battled. Burgess already back on the attack. And it looks like we may have had a problem back behind. Let's see if we can see what happened. Ryan Warp has had a problem. Ryan having just come out of the chicane down into the next corner. Oh, he hits the brakes too hard on corner entry. Loses the back end, quickly recovers it, and Stephen Parks had a problem. Parks just coming through, loses the back end off into the grass. Loses a position to Whitford, but does get it rolling once again. Richie Joplin and Derek Schilling, still the top two, have pulled away from Kevin Bruner in third. Parks has gone to pit road. He will still have to make another stop, but fresh tires right now could give him a huge advantage. Kevin Bruner in third, just continuing to lose ground to the top two. He's now 2 seconds back. Eggert in fourth, not able to capitalize. But Poggeter in fifth may be in trouble. Tim St. Jean closing. Lindner still with him. And Mike Burgess is closing back up on Tim St. Jean and Steve Lindner, little by little. Richie Joplin just set the fast lap again, 7 laps in. Gerald Poole and Mike Burgess have both had problems. Gerald Thanos Poole comes through. Oh, he way overshoots that turn, missed the apex, but does get it going. Mike Burgess coming through the final turn, too much of the rumble strip. He goes around, he was on the march and lost a lot of ground on that one. Kevin Bruner back in third, now back under 2 seconds as he tries to close back in. Robert Eggert in fourth. Rod Potgieter currently in fifth. Stephen Lindner in sixth. Now Tim St. Jean in seventh. Ryan Ward back in eighth, is trying to close back up. Mike Burgess now back in ninth. Gerald Poole in 10th. Back through the S's for the top three. Bruner now 2 1/4 seconds back again as he tries to close back in. Man, he is hitting the rumble strips hard through the chicane. Eggert still has a steady pace going, back in fourth place. Not gaining any ground on the top three, but he is pulling away from the cars back behind. Stephen Lindner now in sixth, continues to pull away from Tim St. Jean in seventh. Ryan Warp in eighth, Mike Burgess in ninth, Gerald Poole in 10th. Worth noting, coming into tonight, Mike Burgess did lead the points. Ryan Warp had a big jump last week after winning. He pulled up to second in points, but the top two quite a ways behind at the moment. Hey, good evening, Panda. An impressive run from both Richie Joplin and Derek Schilling. Bruner continuing to lose a little bit of ground to him, now 3 1/4 seconds back. He hasn't made any drastic mistakes. This could be conservation to make sure he can do the race on one stop and make up some ground by not going to pit road. Steve Lindner has had a problem back behind. There's Lindner, having just came out of the chicane. Overshoots in a big way, hard on the brakes. Almost comes to a complete stop, but does get it rolling. He did, however, lose a bunch of time, and Kevin Bruner had a bit of an off track. Bruner back in third, headed toward the final turn. Oh, on the brakes, the car snaps right. For a guy who was in the fight tonight and had a possibility of winning, that's a big setback. Robert Eggert now right behind Bruner, closing in. Eggert just 1.8 seconds back. He was gaining on Bruner. The gap seems to have stabilized, at least for the moment. This is a very, very challenging track, as you heard during pre-race. The track limits, as Patrick said, are just awful. Let's find out how hard it is. We're going to take a lap with our leader, Drifty Richie Joplin. Out of the final turn, he powers it down to the start-finish line. Up the hill toward the hairpin. Hard on the brakes and a hard left turn. Then back downhill toward the S's. Easy on the power here. This is probably the slickest part of the track. To just 1% too much power could send the car around. Then into the cutover. Through the chicane, getting it, cutting as much as you dare. Into the tight left-hander, likely the tightest turn on the track. Definitely one of the trickiest. Cuts back over, back on the power. Through the right-hander, feeding in the power as he comes to the exit of the turn, and full power down to the final two turns. Finally heads toward that final turn, that sharp left-hander. And on the power, back to the start-finish line. Richie did that lap a 1:45.56. Tim St. Jean and Darrell Whitford have both had problems back behind. There's Tim St. Jean. Final turn, just too much power in the back end. Goes around on him. He does get it recovered and going. And a little further back, Darrell Whitford. That looks like Whitford just pulled over. He did tow it to pit road. Rod Potgieter is on pit road. This is a little early. Richie still has Schilling right on the bumper since Bruner's incident in the final turn. He has slipped almost 18. Here comes Richie. Richie Joplin into pit road. Derek Schilling will lead the lap. Definitely going to help Schilling in the points as the season goes on. Richie has led all the laps so far. Schilling currently back 12th in points. But as he's been running, even with a second place finish tonight, it's going to be a huge, huge points night. Steven Lindner has also come into pit road. Does look like most of the field is going to two-stop the race. Tim St. Jean now coming to pit road. Richie Joplin came off pit road, back in fourth. Looked like Schilling may have gone a bit wide there. He is starting to lose a little bit of rear grip. Looked like a little bit of tire smoke as he came out of the turn. Gerald Thanos Poole now on pit road as well. Schilling continuing to stay out. He is going to stretch it. If he can make it one more lap, he'll be able to do this on one stop where the rest of the field is going to have to do two. Kevin Bruner now on pit road, as is Robert Eggert. Richie Joplin coming by. Can Derek Schilling play the strategy game perfectly here tonight? He's definitely got the car and the speed to get it done. If he can pull this strategy in only one pit stop, that will definitely give him not only the win, but a really big lead at the end of it. Ryan Warp is now in, as is Mike Burgess. Will Schilling go that extra lap? No! What is he going to do? He is bringing it to pit road. He'll give up the lead. And the question now is, can he make it from here? More than likely he can. Richie Joplin coming through the final sector. Will Schilling be able to get off pit road before he gets there? Doesn't look like it. Hey, good evening, Ryan. Richie comes down the straightaway. Schilling still on pit road. And Richie just set the fastest lap of the night, 1:43.62. Not only is that the fastest lap of the night, that is the only lap under the 1:44 mark. Derek Schilling did come off pit road in second. Kevin Bruner in third. Robert Eggert currently in fourth. Rod Potgieter in fifth. The only car on track at the moment faster than Potgieter is Richie Joplin. Ryan, I can't begin to tell you how many people have said they do not like this track tonight. Drifty Richie Joplin doesn't seem to be minding too much. Derek Schilling about 7.4 seconds back in second place. But remember, Richie has to make another stop. Schilling does not. Kevin Bruner in third, about 17.1 seconds back. 14 seconds ahead of fourth place, Robert Eggert. Rod Pontgeter in fifth, closing in on Eggert, 9 seconds back. Steve Lindner currently in sixth. Tim St. Jean in seventh as Ryan Warp in eighth closing in. Mike Burgess securely in ninth. Gerald Poole in 10th. Darrell Whitford appears to be out of the race, as is Stephen Parks. Gil Guac did not take to the grid. Derek Schilling continuing to close on the leader, now just over 7 seconds behind. Kevin Bruner currently in third. He is 17.5 seconds back. And actually just set his fastest lap of the night, 144.12. Still a half second slower than Richie Joplin's last lap. And Derek Schilling just set the fastest lap, 143.56. Schilling continuing to close on Richie. And he has played the strategy perfectly. Ryan, that is definitely true. You did finish ahead of Richie last night. You had a great race, buddy. Richie's lead continuing to shrink, now down to 6.9. Ryan, I love old Atlanta as well, bud. You gotta love those great old tracks like Old Atlanta, Rocking, and Darlington, where strategy and being smooth, being consistent, and being smart really pay off. If you missed last night's race at Old Atlanta, you can find it on our YouTube channel in the Nowski C12 Motorsports playlist, along with a lot of shorts. A lot of great content coming out. Schilling continuing to reel in the leader. Have a great night, Lowen. Thank you so much. Rod Potgieter in 5th, continues to pull away from Lindner in 6th. Ryan Warp in 7th is closing in on Lindner, but he better crank it up. Tim St. Jean right behind. Angie Louise cheering on Derek Schilling, who may have number 1 as he just beat the fastest lap again. Set a lap of 1:43.26, and he may very well have outsmarted the entire field tonight. If he can keep it consistent and pointed the right way, he does not have to make another pit stop. Everybody else does. Richie Joplin starting to come into lap traffic. Mike Burgess in 9th, just ahead. Mike Burgess was on quite a charge earlier on, but seems after his incident he has lost a little momentum. Hopefully he can find it again. Derek Schilling now just 5.3 seconds back in gaining. Burgess goes wide. He's going to let Richie get by. Derek Schilling now just 5 seconds back. Holy cow! That back end really stepping out on the power. But it didn't slow him down a dang bit. He gained about a half a second through that last sector. Like I said, when we were here last year, the winner of that race spent quite a few of the turns just drifting through them. Appears Derek Schilling watched and learned a new trick. It looks like Richie is clear of lap traffic for quite a while. Kevin Bruner back in 3rd. Looked like he might have had a good shot at the win tonight. But one incident in the final turn has set him back 30 seconds behind the leader. Robert Eggert in 4th, another 19 seconds back. Rod Potgieter in 5th, 17 seconds back. Steve Lindner in 6th, about another 15 seconds back. Ryan Warp in 7th, about 3.5 seconds behind Lindner. But he is currently the fastest driver on track who is not one of the top 3. At the moment, Warp is faster than the 3 drivers directly ahead, and he is gaining on them. Tim St. Jean back in 8th, has lost touch with Warp for the moment. Mike Burgess in 9th, 19.5 seconds behind Tim. Burgess is gaining some ground. And Gerald Thanos Poole back in 10th. Ryan McDaniel, I'm just going to quote him here. The only incident you need to screw up your race at this track is taking the green flag. I know very, very few drivers that actually enjoy driving here at COTA. I don't think Richie Joplin or Derek Schilling is complaining much right now. Kevin, I hope you're back out here very soon, buddy. I better see you at least 2 nights a week. Ryan Warp was gaining ground on Lindner, but it appears over the last lap or two, he has lost almost a second. And Steve Lindner is in for his final stop. They definitely have to get in for one last splash of fuel. Maybe fresh tires. Likely we're going to see everybody take fresh tires as Tim St. Jean is on pit road as well. Kevin, that is true. You could not do this race one-handed. Derek Schilling now just 3.6 seconds behind the leader and continuing to close rapidly on Richie. But honestly, if you're driving a Ford that has Jar Jar Binks on the side of it, I don't know if you should even be allowed to start a race. Kevin Bruner back in third has recovered no time. He still holds third fairly securely as Eggert 20 seconds back. Ryan Warp back in sixth has lost more ground behind Pontgeter. Angie Louise, I wholeheartedly support that. And here he comes. Richie Joplin is on pit road. Derek Schilling will recover the lead. And with 7 laps to go, Derek does not have to come back in. It's a long drive down pit road to your pit stall. Let's see, will it be 4 tires? No tires, fuel only. Ryan, it's... Derek Schilling has retaken the lead, has a 22-second lead on Richie Joplin. Kevin Bruner in third, about 7.8 seconds back. Bruner still needs to make a pit stop. Robert Eggert in fourth. Rod Pontgeter is on pit road and almost overshot pit road. Ryan Warp in sixth. Lindner back in seventh. Burgess now in eighth. Tim St. Jean right behind in ninth. Gerald Poole in 10th. Richie Joplin getting hung up behind a couple lap cars. Now gets around St. Jean. But Derek Schilling out front holds a 20-second lead at the moment. Kevin Bruner is setting up to come in for his final stop. So far, looks like the majority of the stops have been fuel only. Rod Potgieter actually took 4 tires. Will Kevin take tires or fuel only here? Fuel only for Kevin Bruner. He is away. Richie Joplin in second. He's got just over 5 laps to go. If he wants to catch back up to Schilling, he's really going to have to crank it up. Richie gained about a second. He is now 19 seconds behind the leader. Schilling did have a bit of an off track last time, but minimal damage to his lap or his lead. Five laps to go. Richie about 18 seconds back. He is gaining a little ground, but it does look like Derek Schilling is backed off the speed to maintain a more consistent way around the track and stay out of trouble. Rod Potgieter is now gone a lap down in 6th place. Rod gets himself back to the lead lap. Like I said, Rod did take 4 fresh tires on that last stop. Tire wear is becoming a factor here as well. Richie Joplin's fastest lap, a 143.62. Last time by 145.16. 1.5 seconds slower than his fastest lap. Derek Schilling's pace even slower due to the fact he has only stopped 1 time. Ryan Warp gives up 5th. He is in. Four laps to go for Schilling. Richie has gained some ground. He is now 12.25 seconds back. It does appear. Last time by, Schilling did a 150.31. Looks like a conservation lap. I'm gonna guess he is very close on fuel and slowed down for a lap to make sure he can make it to the finish. The other benefit, that slower lap will allow the tires to cool down, may give him a little bit more grip if Richie catches up. Robert Eggert now on pit road. No, that is wrong, Ryan. Folks, don't forget, shortly after the race, we'll be back live with the Unicorn leading the convoy. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and especially YouTube. A lot of great YouTube shorts coming out. A lot of great and funny shorts have come out over the last 2 weeks, and we're giving you guys as many as we can every day. We'll see what Derek's lap time is this time. Back down to a normal pace, 146.71. His lead holding about 11 and a half seconds. Kevin Bruner back in third, likely locked in unless he makes a mistake. Robert Eggert in fourth, Rod Potgieter in fifth, Stephen Lindner in sixth, Tim St. Jean up to seventh, Ryan Warp in eighth, Mike Burgess in ninth, Gerald Poole in 10th. Darrell Whitford, Stephen Parks out early. Gil Guak did not take the grid. And don't forget, folks, late in March, we'll have more information going up, but late in March, you can meet me in the Unicorn in Enid, Oklahoma, as I'll be announcing the Monster Truck and Tough Truck competition. We'll have more info on Facebook as it becomes available. Gerald Poole came back into pit road. He's on his way back out and drops back to 10th. Across the line, 2 laps to go for Derek Schilling. A 10.5 second lead over Richie. Bruner still safely in third. Closest battle right now is Tim St. Jean in 7th and Ryan Warp back in 8th. Mike Burgess back in 9th, also just 2 seconds behind Warp. Don't forget, folks, you can also check out the Home Motorsports playlist on our YouTube channel, and we will have more shorts out from tonight's race, including the winner short we'll post shortly later this evening. I'll put it that way. Which, if he can keep it pointed the right way in a lap and a half, maybe Derek Schilling. Here he comes toward the final turn. Derek Schilling gets the white flag one more time around. 2.6 miles, 17 turns. And Schilling will get his first win of the season. Richie has definitely cranked it up. He is closing in. Now 8.3 seconds back. He needs a miracle to get there. Ryan Warp has caught the back bumper of Tim St. Jean. Will he have enough time and a way to get around? It looked like he was going to peek to the inside going up the hill, but couldn't get there. Derek coming into lap traffic. Rod Potgieter just ahead. Richie continuing to close in now, 7.8 seconds back. But here we go. 2 turns left to go for Derek Schilling. He did it on one stop, conserved the fuel, made it work, and had the fastest lap of the night. Out of the final turn, Derek Schilling will get the win at COTA. Drifty Richie Joplin comes across the line in second. And Kevin Bruner on his way to finish third. We'll get a word with our top 3 here in a moment. But you know Schilling, he's parked it at the top of the hill with Richie. You know he's going to be happy. Bruner out of the final turn comes home third. Let's talk to our top 3, starting with third place, Kevin Bruner. Kevin, you look like you might have had something early on, but that one mistake in the final turn just threw it all away.
Oh yeah, Doug, I threw it all away, is right.
It looked like just a little too much brake and the truck and the car snapped right.
Yeah, I locked up the back end.
You still mounted quite a great race, and some of the fastest laps out there. You come home with the podium. Still an overall great night.
Oh, for sure, great night, but gotta feel like I let one slip away.
Well, I'm sure you'll get them next week, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, Doug. He'll be back at him again.
Richie Joplin comes home in second. Richie, it looked like you had one heck of a charge toward the end. We're closing the gap, but just not enough.
Yeah, I just didn't have enough fuel. I miscalculated my fuel stop, but I don't think I would have had enough fuel anyway, so I would have had to stop again. I hate losing races on fuel mileage races, but it's all good. I'll take a second place at a road course. This is my first time I've ever been around.
Well, yeah, that is an impressive run, and considering how many people don't like this track, you coming home with second is pretty darn good.
Yeah, I led some laps, and was pretty fast. I take it. I mean, there's other people that's faster than me on road courses, but to me, I thought I done good tonight, and I go with that.
Well, great job tonight, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Doug.
And finally, our winner here tonight, Derek Schilling. Derek, I knew you snookered him on strategy as soon as you made it to the halfway point, but then you turn around and set the fastest lap of the race after that.
Well, it took everything. I couldn't control myself the first few laps out from pitting, and I was trying to run as hard as I could to catch him and went away from my game plan. That was the hardest thing ever, just trying to actually let him get to his point of needing the fuel and then staying out.
That has to be difficult. I know I've played that game before a time or two myself, and you know you got to keep pace, but you also know there's a car ahead, and race car equals go fast.
Yeah, it was just 7-second lead, 6-second lead, 5-second lead. I knew I was catching them. I knew I could take them on speed, but I knew I had 2 or 3 laps to the good on fuel on them also. It was just, it was really hard to play the gambling mode in my mind and not just go all out.
Well, man, your planning and everything went perfectly tonight. You end up in victory lane. Awesome run tonight, buddy. Congratulations.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for the broadcast. Thanks for all the admins for putting this league on.
Great job, buddy.
Thanks.
Derek Schilling goes to victory lane. Man, what a finish here tonight. We've still got more to come tonight, folks. Don't forget, the Unicorn will be back. Come by and say hi to that beautiful lady here in just a few moments. Hope you guys had as much fun as we did. Thank you for being here tonight. And I'll be dang, Chrono, you did call it, buddy. Chrono called it before the race. From now on, I'm just going to pull him in and let him tell me who's going to win the race. It might save me a little headache. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope y'all had a great night. We'll see you here shortly. Have a good one.